Alright, I got an hour to kill. And this is Space Engine, and you're looking at Mars. Well, you would be on the July 11th, 2083, for whatever reason, because I don't know how to set things. And uh, so I got an hour to kill. And so I'd be happy to ask what or answer whatever questions you may have, and we can explore the universe or whatever. But this is pretty cool, and my system is going, "What are you doing? What are you doing to me, Ronnie? This isn't very fun." Oh, it's quite fun. So yes, if you're interested in astronomy at all, and I really kind of am, uh, or whatever you want to talk about. So I'll be within reason. I'm interested in answering whatever your questions, whether it's about simming or nothing sexual, political, or religious. But beyond that, I'm willing to answer your questions for the next hour, or just have a nice conversation. You can see me here, and you can see that. And if you want to see different parts of the universe, I think I can make that happen too. So we start by looking at a nice little sharp picture of Mars. Um, Game's got some good graphics to it. Let me open up the chat over here. And how you doing? Am I trying to moon you? Oh yeah, you want to get mooned? I can make that happen. I gotta be careful what I'm doing though. Where's everything else? This is what you want to get mooned, smart butt. Okay. Yes, I'm trying to moon you. There. That's the moon. You have now been mooned. How you doing, Phantomatic? Glad to have you along. Um, so yeah, whatever you guys want to talk about, any questions that you want me to answer, I gotta tape something later. The next thing for Patreon, if I'm taping for a client. What am I doing? The '86 Red Sox and the 2004 Red Sox, a best of three. Be taping the first two games tonight. If it goes to a game three, I'll be taping game three tomorrow night. Tomorrow at noontime, we're doing the Dodgers and the Braves from our 82 replay from Atlanta. The Braves, their chances is about as good as me actually physically landing on the moon. Let's see. All right. How you doing? So Randy has got the first real question for us. I recently purchased the Hall of Fame set for Action PC Baseball, and I downloaded it. No players appeared. What's up? All right, Randy, there are no teams in there, but if you do that or the encyclopedia or the history pack, they're all free agents. So, I can't open this up because I've got my computer's going, "What are you doing, Ronnie?" What you should do is you should look in your free agents, and they are all there. And you can create teams. Have you done that before? And what you do is you can draft or assign free agents onto your own teams through the roster screen. I did a video. I think if you go back to my channel or do a search on the Baseball History Project, you can see how it's set up, and that's the same way it is set up. So you create teams and you individually draft teams from there. There is a draft module, but there is no real good AI. Hopefully that will answer your question. So demos, you tired of being mooned yet? That's pretty good. We can move closer if you want. Isn't that exciting? If the sun went dark, we wouldn't know it for 8 minutes. Yes, that's right. Actually, I have a feeling that we would, come on, go, that we would be in trouble long before that. That's how the game, this is, by the way, Space Engine, and it just became available on Steam. This is the first pay version of it. It's a beta, and you can literally go anywhere you want. And the entire universe, no matter the galaxy. Well, obviously, a lot of it's, it's fictional, but that's what you could look at for the sun. Houston, you have a big problem. That's for sure. So, Randy, hopefully that will help. If you want, over the weekend, I can try to make a video on that. But if you go back and find the baseball history video I did, package that I did, it kind of goes through that. I don't know what they changed to the new version between whatever year that was and now as far as drafting teams are concerned. If there might be some AI switches, but that's how you do it. You can build your own teams that way. Yeah, that's pretty hot. You can see the temperature doesn't even give it to you in Celsius. It's almost 6,000 degrees Kelvin, and not much gravity. And it says it's about 4.5 billion years old. So there you go. What else you guys want to see? Here, let's go to Saturn. There. You know what Saturn always reminded me of? Like an old LP. You put it on the groove and it plays the rings and all that. Sure, Randy, not a problem. So, hopefully that will work. And if you need more help than that, I can try to do something. But if you're not a member of the forums over there, they're actually pretty good. You can pretty much get anything you want asked over there. But I think that's going to be the case, is that for a lot of those teams because you just can't, there might be 25 Yankees or Red Sox in the Hall of Fame, or Cubs, but if you're going to, let's say, Houston Astros, there's not going to be enough there to make a team. So here's what it looks like for Saturn. And I figure once in a while we'll do this, just some questions and answers, and show off. Saturn has 62 moons. Okay. Let's take a look at one. Here's one of the 62 moons of Saturn. This is a marvelous engine, by the way. It was created by someone in Russia, and he's put textures in, so you can technically land on all these surfaces. You can see where the craters are and where things are scarred. Here's a baseball question for you. Is batting around, well, you've asked this before, demos, or is it only when someone bats twice in the same inning? That's a good one. I know you've answered it when someone actually bats for the second time. I suppose if all 9 bat, I guess if the 10th person doesn't bat, I'm going to agree with you that you're not batting around. And I guess that would matter if you were, let's say, if you were playing a cards and dice game and you need to know when to pull your pitcher. So I'm going to agree with you. You've asked me that before, or you've asked that before, that you must actually face that 10th batter to bat around. Randy asks, have I ever played any action PC golf? On the channel, I used to own it. I haven't bought it in a couple years. I've done some ASG golf, which I like better, primarily because A, I think it's a bit more random, and B, you play golf in an up and down fashion, not in a side to side. Dave Gardner, my good buddy Dave Gardner, loves the game and has reviewed some courses on his computer, or his channel. I'm not sure if I've actually done any action PC golf. The last version I bought, I think, was 17, and I haven't actually installed it on this machine. There's plenty of room for it. Was there something specific, Randy, you wanted to see? There's some nice courses out there for it, and there's a great community that I believe that have designed 33 freebie courses, along with all the ones that Dave's company has produced. So, you want to land on the surface of this moon? All right. Frigid airless micro aquaria class of rock. And I'm not sure whether or not these textures are from one of, like, Cassini's flyby or whatever. But you can see where there's frozen water and such. So, questions? trivia, whatever you guys want to talk about. I told you what I was doing for Patreon. Tomorrow night we're going to do, or tomorrow, I told you we're doing tomorrow. Friday we got such a good response from the AFL game that we will do the week 2 of that season, and that will be, I think, a game that people will know, or players that people will know. It's the Chargers and the Oilers from week 2, and the quarterbacks are Jack Kemp for the Chargers and George Blanda for the Oilers. And I think that game is in Houston. So that would be tomorrow. It would be Friday night at 7. Yes. Yeah. I had has anyone ever broken their nose while trying to bunt before? And I can't believe, as Baseball Demos is joking around, that no one has made the GIF or the meme on Facebook about Marsha Brady getting her nose broken. Oh, my nose! Because that's nuts. Trying to bunt, and he's going to pitch with a black eye and a broken nose. Or like Andy Capp, I suppose. But anyway, so what else do we want to see? There. Let's look at another galaxy, shall we? The Andromeda Galaxy. This kind of looks like something out of a painting or Star Trek. So that's just absolutely crazy that would be the case. But if, did you not expect Scherzer to pitch tonight? Washington won their first game of the doubleheader, by the way. And how about Tanaka throwing a 2-hitter against Tampa last night? Sorry, Randy. I just can't get over just how good of a job Aaron Boone has done with this team, because they're playing with nobody in comparison. And I saw, was it today, that Hal's going to spend the money to go over the salary cap or the luxury tax if need be? Let's get a little closer, shall we? I'm just impressed with this. All right. Any other questions? Are you looking forward to the Action Replay 86 in the fall? Yes. Yep, there was a reason why I picked it outside of it being a decent year for the Giants. The 78 one did real well, and the channel did really well in the playoffs. And I just kind of like the concept of following along the real season with a replay season. And it's, I watched a lot of football in the early 80s. We didn't have cable for that year. It was the first time in several years that we had cable, but there were no games on cable. And so you got your doubleheader on Sunday, and maybe once in a while my mother was nice to let me just stay up to watch part of a Monday night game. Or, I had a TV in my room, but I was never clever enough to turn the damn thing on to watch a Monday night football game. So, you got to watch 80% of the season. There was a lot of good teams, and it's, I'm not as much of a football fan today as I was then. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm not sure how well the Giants are going to do, but that's the beauty of these things, is you just don't know. We'll see. Yeah, but yes, I am. Pete Alonso with the Mets. He's having a hell of a year, Phantomatic. Have you pulled any good cards of Alonso? I know you're a card. You do a lot with that. Let's see. They swept the yeah. The Yankees are on a roll. You got to give them credit. The Red Sox have no closer. That's about as much modern baseball that I've watched. You have a few. Was it you that back in the spring that was telling me? Someone was telling me about his cards were about to go through the roof, or was really bragging on him, Alonso, and he is the real deal. It's too bad that Mickey Callaway can't manage his way out of a paper bag. Action PC should have a dance animation when Gastineau gets a sack. Yeah, I remember those. The New York Sack Exchange. It was Marty Lyons, Mark Gastineau, Joe Klecko, and there was another, and I can't think of it off the top of my head. And in '83, was it '83 or 80? I think it was '83 when they had 63 sacks, and I'll celebrate every one of them. Of course, the Jets couldn't win, but that's, people were outraged, man, outraged. And then Gastineau married Bridget Nielsen and did things. Let's see. Okay. Here, let's take a look at an asteroid, shall we? Ooh, that looks kind of weird. Poor Richard Todd. Not really, but yeah, he ended up with New Orleans. That thing looks like a peanut, doesn't it? It's a cold asteroid. Oh, it's a direct image. Discovered in 1982. That's kind of cool. And it weighs a lot, more than I do. And it orbits our sun, I think. O'Brien, at 86, O'Brien was on the Jets. Jets in Miami had a game early on that year that was 51-45 Miami. Once they moved into Giant Stadium, that offense was clicking. All right, Sports Time Machine. Jets should have won that playoff game in Cleveland. Yep, in 86. Is that the year of the double overtime game? And someone was keep trying onside kicks later. The clock wasn't going or something. I remember that game. I remember getting really mad at that game for whatever reason. So, but yeah, no. To answer your question, Mike, I am looking forward to 86. I'm also looking forward to doing more stuff with the AFL. Because without the survival of the AFL, the NFL doesn't gain the traction it does on television. So what else you guys want to know? All right. Let's try G. Oh, okay. It's a red dwarf star. Ooh. Okay. Is it going to come any closer? I guess not. That's pretty bright. Falcons were fun in 86. Archer and Riggs, yes, they were. So a lot of good teams there. And I'm surprised that that was the year the Giants just mauled San Francisco in the playoffs at the Meadowlands, or Giant Stadium. And Montana got hurt. It was really, really hurt. That was a fun team. They both were. Here, let's take a look at the big one here, Jupiter. Oh, it's dark. No one wants to see it dark. But yeah, so let's see, what else am I going to be working on? I got actually I got a cool project I'm doing for somebody, and somebody is sending me a video of their kids' Little League Championship game, and I'm going to dub my audio calling the game right over the video, and he wants me to post it on this channel. So I haven't gotten that yet, but that's kind of an exciting project I'm looking forward to. How the hell do you spin this around? 86 Red Sox can pitch Nipper and Bob Stanley. It's Clemens and Hurst. And the Patreon. No, I don't want planets disabled. I want to see the planet. Here, let's line them up. That would be cool. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to that. I've never done anything like that before. Kind of nervous and excited about it. They're going to send me some stuff, so I have some stories to tell. What I'll do is I'll watch the game and then call it as I see it. I won't watch it beforehand. And then I got to splice it so it's in sync. So that's kind of interesting. You're looking for size comparison. You can barely see the Earth there while you see Jupiter and Saturn and the other planets they found. 12 teams. Wow, 12 teams won 10 plus games in '86. Should be fun divisions. You know, it just happened to be. There's the old saying, and it's attributed to Kenny Dryden. Can I get a good? There we go. That's a good picture of Jupiter. It's attributed to Kenny Dryden, who was a very bright guy, that sports means most to you when you're 14 years old than it will at any other point in your life. Because, and I think there's a lot of truth to that. You know, for the most part, there's no girlfriends, there's no bills, there's no cars. You really have no responsibilities. I mean, your world is your oyster, and if you're a sports fan, I mean, that was it. And so the year I was 14, 1986, man. We all know what happened in October of 1986. And it's true, because when the Red Sox lost in 2003, for instance, I mean, yeah, it stung. But, you know, I mean, when Boone hit the homer, it wasn't as devastating as it was in Game 6, because I was considerably older, and we won the next year. Let's see. Can I be a smart aleck? Of course you could be a smart ass, Larry. Your post says ask Uncle Ron, so I'm going to ask you if it's going to rain some more tonight. Hello, Dr. Smith. Alexa, what's the weather?
Right now in Burlington, it's 77 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Tonight's forecast has showers, with a low of 64 degrees.
Alexa, what's the weather tomorrow?
Tomorrow in Burlington, you'll see rainy weather and can expect a high of 72 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 56 degrees.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There you go, Larry. I can actually smell the rain through my air conditioner that's coming. We're supposed to get 2 inches of rain tomorrow here. So, yeah, you can be a smart ass, and I'll be a smart ass right back. Where are you from, Larry? Larry was 14 in 1978. And yeah, we know what happened that year, don't we? Especially but I don't think Larry's a Red Sox fan, so it may not have just devastated him. Here's a true story. The only time I ever had to stay after school in quote-unquote detention was that day in 1978. I started a mini fight after school. Something about the Yankees rotting because you couldn't say the word suck. I was in the 3rd grade. And so we got into it verbally with some of the other kids. You know, now are 47 to 50 years old. And so I didn't get home until the 3rd inning of that game. Northeast Ohio. No, that's Sunday at 4, We Are Family. Okay, so Demos was 14 and 79. Going to college in 1986, you had one choice, getting the Jets early on NBC and the Giants late at 4, or vice versa. There was no DirecTV or other options better today. I grew up in southern Vermont, Mike, and till the 86 season. So from, you know, my childhood, except for the 1 year I lived in New Mexico, to 85, our television mostly came from Albany, which still is a secondary market for the Jets and the Giants. So on CBS we'd get the Giants, and on NBC we'd get the Jets. We weren't blacked out of the doubleheader, but let's say if the Cowboys and Redskins were playing on CBS, we might get it on the station here in Burlington, but the better station with the reception would be forced to carry the Giants and the Bucks. You know how that goes. Good story for Michigan. So you probably are getting some rain tonight, Larry. I guess to be a long story short, but no, it's true. And we did not get in. The bigger places in Vermont got PIX out of New York City, microwaved up from the big city, but we did not live in a big city at that point in Vermont. Well, what passes is 15,000 being a big city up here. Who am I kidding? Still is. And so we did not get any American League games. We got the Braves on TBS, and we got the Mets on Channel 9 when we had cable, but that was it. And so you listen to the Red Sox on the radio during the day, and then you fish around for WTIC at night to listen to the Red Sox at night. And God help me if the Whalers were in the playoffs because they weren't on, because they played the Whalers over the Red Sox. All right, other questions, guys. Let's see. What else we want to look at here? Here's the poor little dwarf planet of Pluto. Come on, come to it. It's a tiny little thing. It's not going very fast. We'll get there eventually. Charlie Jones. Oh, absolutely. Charlie was always in those games on the West Coast. There we go. There's Pluto. Charlie was always on those games on the West Coast, and he either worked with Len Dawson or Todd Christensen. And he just had such a good time calling those games. I was always a Dick and Merlin guy. I learned to like John Madden, but some are always too dry. How you doing, Al Red Sox fan? Scully, of course, did football, and I didn't really like him as a football announcer. I didn't get him until... I didn't understand him until he started calling Game of the Week, and then became my absolute idol. There's no... I mean, you know, people call me Scully doing the baseball games, and, you know, it's just... Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. How you doing, Mr. Red Sox fan? So, as I said, for the next half hour or so, I'm answering any and all questions that are PG rated. So, yeah. So, Charlie Jones was always fun. I loved Keith Jackson. Pamba! Never really liked Brent Musburger. I never cared about looking live. For pregame shows on Sunday, even though Phyllis was nice to look at, I was much more of a NFL 85 or NFL Live guy. With Costas was young. Costas is my mother's age, so he's 67. But I was more of an AFC guy. Why didn't you like Merlin? I mean, Merlin didn't get, you know, he was understated. I suppose if you're old enough to remember Al DeRogatis, who I barely remember, that man was dry. You know, good for X's and O's, but I come from just the tail end of the Kurt Gowdy era when he couldn't pronounce anybody's name right anymore. So that's Pluto. It won't land on the planet. Wow. It takes almost 6 days to rotate. I did not realize Scully was in the mic for the... Yeah! Caught by Clark! And Hank Stram cut him off. What was it? The great Scully line was... Dwight Clark is 6 feet tall, but in the eyes of this crowd, he's a giant or something like that. Yeah, he was. And it's, if you go... That game is on YouTube. I think the NFL put it up, Mike. And it's an absolute gem. Scully could call the football game. And you just, I mean, you go back to that, the 49ers were unproven. And, and Dallas was the establishment. They'd been shut out the year before by Philadelphia. And it was just amazing. That was the last football game he ever called. If you're going to go out doing it, what a way to go out. Absolutely. Did I ever hear Costas' Stratomatic? No! Does he have one? Or is he... I mean, he's so cranky now. He's such a curmudgeon, Costas. He probably liked the game better when there was no advanced or super advanced before the splits. I love it when I catch Keith Hernandez on SNY and Keith talks about it. Harry Mickey Morandini. Harry and Whitey, Richie Ashburn, were a delight to listen to on the radio. You know, Mike said earlier about, you know, when you only got the stations, and of course Mike had a lot more down in New York than we ever did up here. But the radio at night, was much like an MLB TV package today. You go around, you'd get the Sox, you'd get the Yankees on WABC, you get CAU out of Philadelphia, and Harry and Whitey, you knew they loved each other, and were great. Michael Jack Schmidt. I'll look for it on YouTube. Costas used to come on at 7:30. Yep. That's right. And my sisters hated that, by the way. Yep, Punky Brewster will not be seen tonight because the Chargers and the Broncos went long. If I tried strategy baseball, it's a free There's a couple. Oh, strategic baseball and strategy baseball, I believe, is the Pure Sim ripoff. That's a whole can of worms. Al tried it once, and I don't know if it was patched or not, but yeah, it is a free. It's a decent download. Did Summerall? Yes, in 80. Actually, in 81. They broke up Summerall and Brookshire, which were a good pairing, but they partied too much and they didn't stay really sober. If you guys want to see something else on the screen besides that, let me know and I can take you anywhere you want. And so there was an audition. Scully was never going to be #1 in football, but for the first 4 weeks of the 81 season, they were going to paired Scully and Madden together. Can you imagine that? I mean, the wordsmith Vin with Madden, who just talked out of nervousness, and they matched Pat Summerall and Hank Stram together. And then for the next 4 weeks, it was Scully and Stram, which I'd have loved to have heard for a long time, and Summerall and Madden immediately clicked. And so it was for the 3/4 of the 81 season, and they got that Super Bowl. You're welcome, everybody. Here's the obvious dirty joke, and here is the backside of Uranus. In the dark, kind of blue, needs to be cleaned, and cold. Yeah, if you were in Jersey, you got Channel 17. Remember the bet? Oh, there's rings around Uranus. If you look around YouTube, you can actually see Betty White doing ads for Tasty Cake. I can't wait to see the comments on here for that. Actually enjoying the roster card baseball if you're talking about other games. That's not free, but you can get them as low as $1 a season if you buy the whole thing. So what other questions or comments or conversations would you like to have? It takes 84 years for Uranus to go around the sun. And the distance that's a big butt. It's also called the Phrygian Neptune. It was discovered in 1781. And here's the Hervey Villachez moon of Uranus. It's a frigid asteroid, which it would be if it was at 210 degrees minus Celsius. That's cold. So I figured I'd do these once in a while and probably show you some games that I do that I wouldn't necessarily stream. And this being one of them. I might do at one point do some City Skylines. My processor would love that. Oh, please stream that for me, will you? And maybe from some Flight Simulator, but depending on what you guys think of this. So this is Uranus 9, the moon, and it's cold. Just be my little baby, be my little baby. So who else did you guys like? Ultraman and Speed Racer were on my anus or Uranus? Oh, or on Channel 17. There was always, I remember going down to Connecticut in the late 80s and watching TV, and there, we got Channel 9, which was the sports station, and Channel 5, which was the cartoon station. That was before Fox was in the process of Fox buying it to turn it into the flagship for the Fox network. So I assume you're talking about Channel 17 and not on Uranus 9. Here, let's take a look at Neptune. That's pretty. And it does. It looks like an ocean, doesn't it? And it's cold. It's got 14 moons. So yeah, we got cable early, like 1980 or 79 we had cable, and we moved back to Vermont, and my grandmother had it, and we kept it till we moved, and it was 12 channels and then 30 some odd channels. Then we parents moved out to the sticks, and they got one channel really well, and you had to we put a rotor antenna up to get like 3 more. What was the website you said that people sportsreplays.net? I can type that. I put it in the Tuesday stream, but it was afterwards. So there you go. I'm not trying to play anything, so you can see that. That pretty much has homebrews and pictures, and oh my gosh, you could get lost there for hours. There's also some games for sale. The creator of the site has done some games of his own. I'm back as I'm actually taking care of some laundry. Okay. So, Larry from Northeast Ohio, you know, the announcer for the Browns you actually stole from Vermont, Jim Donovan, did the sports on a station here in Burlington when I was a kid. Yeah, Al is right. A ton of stuff on that site. You could get lost there for hours. And it's a good way to discover games you might not have known. The fields I got for the football replay are from there. If I do the golf again on the channel, the pictures for that are there. I believe the tennis pictures I use are there. Just a ton of stuff. An absolute ton of stuff. Action PC's got a site they've created too, and I can't think of that off the top of my head. So, yeah. So what else? What else do you guys want to talk about tonight? It takes Neptune 165 years to go around the sun. I am yes, I am close to the teddy bear factory. With the Vermont Teddy Bear Company, and it's down the road in Shelburne, which is probably about 7-8 miles from where I live. And they're also the ones that you can make your own teddy bears, and they do the pajama grams and the teddy bear grams and a couple other things. They are so creative, and a buddy of mine was one of their early PR people. Well, the Ben and Jerry started here in Burlington. They literally started out of an old Esso station. Station's gone. They actually tore it down. In fact, it's still an empty lot. There's a plaque there. They haven't even paid it. I mean, it's not. We desperately need parking in the city, and I think it's a dirt lot. So Ben and Jerry started here. Actually, yeah, I can't think of what the site is for Action PCL off the top of my head. If Mr. Gardner was here, he might know. Dave got a new game today. Let's see, projects. Baseball demos. So I take it was Tony La Russa with the Chesterfields. Man, that was a brutal game. Gotta love it when you tape those and that. And Mr. Mike's doing some 88 replay stuff he's got from Strat. Al's been featuring some OTP 20 back and forth in the 64 World Series. It's good for OTP's great for what ifs. How you doing, Dale? We're just doing some questions and answers and looking at different things in the solar system. So there's Neptune. Hello. Let's take a look at the moon. This is Neptune 8. That's a sexy looking beast, isn't it? Average daily high at minus 220 Celsius. That would make some ice cream. Only 876 kilometers from the surface of Neptune. Isn't that cool? Mars. Oh, you want to see Mars again? Okay. Stooges coming soon. A Saturday morning treat from Ticonderoga. Oh, cool. Action Sports Baseball is when you pick human. There are times the PC will choose to seal even though you have to. Oh, really? We started the stream with Mars, but I'll go back. That's the backside of Mars. It's a different view. All right, I will read that again because I didn't read it very well. Action sports baseball. When you pick human, there are times the PC will choose to steal even though you have the human choice pick. Are you sure? I've never had a steal. You might have computer base coaching checked. Make sure that's unchecked. In all the games I've played, and as of now, just in the 82 replay, I think we're up to 67 videos, so about 70 games. I've never had the computer steal on the team I'm managing without my permission. There are times it will try to get especially this year, they'll try to get the lead and it won't get it. So make sure in the settings that you don't have computer controls base running checked, because it shouldn't be doing that. Clinton Parks pistachio. That would be Ben & Jerry's flavor named after Clinton Parks would be one of the great oxymorons of all time, because I think in every aspect of life, that is the absolute opposite. But I love pistachio ice cream, and that'd be cool to have a Clinton Parks flavor. So check that, bud, and see how far you get. I'm not a huge Ben & Jerry's fan. I never have been. It's like $6 a pint. But their pistachio is good. Cherry Garcia, I'll do once in a while. This is the time I should mention I'm a diabetic. And what's the other one I like? The Stephen Colbert, the cone one. I really like that one a lot. Shenanigans strawberry. There you go. I like that. I like that. Some bits of dark chocolate, so it can be ID and Clinton Park. Shenanigans strawberry. I like that. So there's the backside of Mars. You can see some of the volcanoes there. That's kind of cool. And the temperature is minus 50 degrees. So like a deep freezer in the backside. I like that. They must have come down to the Big E a lot when you were a kid, or when you were a teenager. Because it was in the 90s they finally hit the big time and were bought by Unilever. Which also makes Haagen-Dazs. I like Haagen-Dazs better. I do like real maple syrup, but I can't eat it because of the sugar issues. So any other questions? Or what you want to talk about? So, we were talking about announcers earlier. Who'd you guys like growing up? Bars has boobs. Okay. That looks like a giant baked potato, doesn't it? Deimos, considered a cool asteroid. It's actually warmer than Mars. That's kind of interesting. How about Uncle? Yeah, Dandy Don made me. Yeah, and certainly when I sing "Turn Out the Lights," a party's over. They say all good things must end. Yeah, I liked him, and Al will joke about his Lipton iced tea ads every once in a while. What the hell? He was an underrated quarterback. How about Uncle Ronsberry? Okay. Actually, I like cherry sort of things. Don't joke about that. Still, that's true. Still colder than if the ice bowl was on Neptune. Gosh, if I made a flavor of ice cream, what would it be? I like Uncle Ronsberry. That's a good idea. I'm an apple person. So maybe some sort of Uncle Ron's apple pie. Pie a la Ron. Kurt Gowdy. I like Gowdy, but you could tell by the end of his career that he just was on. He was even more overexposed than Musburger. And I didn't think you could get more overexposed than Brent Musburger. Gowdy just seemed like a cool guy. Good voice. Does the extra button on Action work? What extra button? I've never heard of an extra button. Chopped with nuts. You've met my wife? Ba-doom boom. Thanks, I'll be here all the week. Yeah, pistachios. Pistachio. I love peanuts. Actually, I got a plate of Sarah got some salted almonds, so I've got that to munch on before I take tonight. But pistachios or peanuts, one of the two. Does the extra player button on Action work? I don't know. I've never tried it. In baseball years, I'm talking, because that's what I'm doing after, in a few minutes, taping the next Patreon project. And if you would like that done, I've done a couple. The 70s tournament, by the way, is a Patreon project. Oh, by the way, Sports Simulations and Replays now needs 8 for 1,000. You guys have been great doing that at 992 members. So 8 more and Dave gets his 1,000. It'd be nice to get sometime before game 2, so not this weekend, but next weekend of that 70s tournament. Never worked for me. I never seen it. I don't know. Used to be you could X out of the game by doing all X, but you can't do that anymore. The player button. I'll have to look. I have no idea what you're talking about. But I'll take a closer look. Uncle Ronsberry chopped with nuts. And butterscotch. I've always liked butterscotch better than hot chocolate. Reason number 17,075. Well, I became a diabetic at 31. All right, guys. What else do you guys want to talk about? Kurt Gatt. Let's see. For big. Oh yeah. No, it's been great. It's been great for views and subs. There's always some good back and forth. It's always. Dave is such a good guy. It's just been great. People there are wonderful. And just a different variety of things that you see there, from OTP to some fast action games. It'd be nice to see some of the some consoles come in there to play. Butterscotch does my mom. Oh, yes, my mom hates me chewing on them. I need to get some sugar-free ones. You can't see. Yeah, maybe you can see the hat over there. I got to keep it covered because the cat wants the mints. I got some Werther's sugar-free Werther's originals. Heavens to Betsy. Al Michaels. Liked him on baseball. I don't watch a lot of football. He's okay on football. Of course, he got his big start doing. Oh, he got his big start in baseball, but of course, hockey is where you know him from. And yeah, he doesn't sound as much, but in his younger years, you could hear the Scully in him. Oh my goodness, could you ever? He actually did a scene in Hawaii Five-0 when he was doing the Pacific Coast games out in Honolulu. Is Collinsworth really? No, I don't think so. But then again, I don't mind Pierre Maguire either. And Collinsworth's smart. I think Collinsworth comes across as smug. He's certainly a lot more knowledgeable than Phil Simms ever was. I don't know, Jim. And Aikman just kind of strikes me as bland, but I like Aikman and Buck as a team. Yeah, Keith was and Keith did a good job at baseball, and he didn't like baseball. He really did not. I'm not a huge football fan. I know we do a lot of it on my channel. I've never really played a game that I didn't sit there and go, God, why the hell I do that? It's fun, and because you guys make it fun too. But he did and he got saddled with Cosell. Oh my God. But he was actually quite good at it. Yep. Have I played any of the franchise teams in Action PC Football? I have not. I have several versions for baseball. What's my favorite team on Action PC Football? That's a good question. 78 was the first replay I did from start to finish. And what was a fun team? The Patriots surprised me. I really enjoyed playing those games. I still don't like the Steelers. It was interesting. Dallas was fun to play simply because they were that good. You knew they were that good. I mean, their defense was incredible. The 2008 project, or for the Patriots, the Patriots project, the Bears game was the one I was looking forward to the most, and they beat them. I think the most fun I had doing that though was against the Rams, the '99 Rams. Gosh, that was the one that Ellis Hobbs returned the touchdown to force overtime. Unbelievable, unbelievable. So it's the games I remember. Well, here's the truth about Jackson on Monday Night Football. ABC wanted Frank Gifford from the start, but Gifford was under contract to CBS for the 1970 season. He was the color guy there. And so they brought in Jackson to lead college football. Chris Schenkel was the lead voice for ABC football that year. And so Jackson did the 1 year and did a good job and was a good traffic cop between Cosell before Cosell's ego took over. But as soon as Gifford's contract was up, ABC offered him the moon and the stars and everything else. Here. Let's give you something else to look at. You can look at the moon, as a matter of fact. They offered Gifford that, and they dumped Jackson, by the way, on a phone call. But they gave him the NBA instead, so we called it. Actually, got to work with Bill Russell. Sort of like a joke. Morgan was terrible. Morgan was bitter. I don't think Collinsworth's bitter. Cosell was great on football. You go back and watch his stuff from Monday Night Football. Even in the later years, he was good. He was terrible on baseball. Didn't want to be there. Huge Yankee fan, and was bored. The Dolphins seemed the underrated 72 team. They will probably do really. I did a hands-off replay of that team. The first run through, they went 9-5. The second time, they went 12-2, which is probably what they should have finished. The problem with Action PC is that it will start Morrow for all the games. It won't use Greasy. Favorite baseball player in the 70s, 80s, and 90s? Rice, Jim Rice, Kirby Puckett. And Nolan Ryan. Did he have Bo Burton as or Schenkel? No. Bud Wilkinson. You can go back and watch the 71 Oklahoma-Nebraska game, played the day before I was born. Bud was all right. Not a lot of personality, but, for them it was fine. Be back after this message. So I think a board game that doesn't factor lefty-righty splits is complete. Yes, I do, because I know that Strat Basic and APA Basic don't do the splits, and I think they play just fine. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily my cup of tea, but roster card, I just kind of strip out the splits. There's 3 results. You can have a split for a single, and I don't play that way. For me, sometimes simple is better. It just doesn't matter to me. But that's just me. If it matters to you, great. Okay, a few more minutes, and then we'll go. Do I remember Al? I do remember Al Karras. I remember him on Webster, too. But yes, I do. I was young, 5 or 6 years old, so I don't have anything good, bad, or indifferent to say. He was a big dude. And, of course, he punched out that horse in Blazing Saddles. All right, and we're gonna go about 5 more minutes here. Then I gotta go prep to tape my thing for Patreon for the Red Sox. That should be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Any other questions? Yeah, he was the fill-in after Meredith went to NBC for a couple years. But I think most people of our generation remember him more playing the good dad on Webster. He was a big dude. He was suspended for a year in the NFL, him and Paul Hornung. I think it was a 63 season for being associated with gambling. Can you imagine that now, especially with all the daily fantasy stuff? What is Mongo? Clinton says, oh yeah, Mongo, man. That's a great movie. What is Patreon? Patreon is a way, as a website that a third party that you can set up for tips. So let's say, well, what I'm going to do tonight, you pay me X amount and I will do what you want, produce something for you. So let's say you and the first game you went to with a relative was the July 8th game in 1978 between the Yankees and the Red Sox. And you remember it because Bucky didn't hit 17 home runs. And you would say, this is the, there's no tape of it, I don't have it on the radio. Would you be kind enough to do the game? And sure. So I sit there and record the game and do that for it. That's what it's for. That's how I use it. But there's a lot of channels that use it. It helps to produce content or to purchase, in my case, some seasons for some games or better equipment or because this stuff takes time to produce. Not that anyone should ever be forced to say, oh geez, you're pushing this again. Don't ever feel obligated. But that's what it is. It's a way for your viewers to thank you with some tips. And you have control. You get about 90% of what you're pledged. They get some money for processing it. It's a safe way to do it. There's a lot. Apparently, 90% of the people who use Patreon aren't streamers, which I was surprised to know. But yeah, it's kind of like if you go into coffee shops here, always have art displays in them, and if you like a piece of art, you can buy them. You just literally buy it off the wall, and so it's just a thank you. I like what you're doing, or you're doing something special for me on top of that. But it's never going to be required. In YouTube, you need 1,000 subscribers to monetize, and then they start watching your stuff. So. What do I think of the Lakers trade for Anthony Davis? I don't follow a lot of pro basketball, but I am over the moon. Didn't even think of that as that was coming out of my mouth. With the fact that the Lakers are trying to return back to their Diane Cannon days of being old and overrated. Please work with 8,000-year-old LeBron. I don't think it really helps them. New Orleans with the top 2 of the top 4 picks, maybe they'll actually contend. Yeah, I'm agreeing with Mike. I think it's a heist for New Orleans, but it's a shame. I please send Kyrie to the Lakers. I'd love that. Just go right ahead. All right, time for a couple more questions, and then I gotta actually get started on the actual work I gotta do. But this has been great. What would you like to see next? This isn't the most exciting thing in the world. Here, let's close this off with home, shall we? Home. Or Sumatra in Australia. The Ball family's nuts. And Daddy got banned off of ESPN. Oh, breaks my heart. So that's the big blue marble that we all live on. All right. Any more questions? Is this something you'd like to have me do again? This was kind of fun. It's kind of just a BS session to spend some time together. The game calls this Temperate Marine Terra with Life, which means it's got water. Oh, my pleasure, bud. My pleasure. Yeah, I'll definitely. I don't know how often I do this, but But this was fun. And like I said, I'll feature something else the next time and do that. Yeah. Liv Tyler, huh? Yeah. Yeah. So, one last call for questions before I say adieu for this part. You can actually land on all these things, but I don't want to give you motion sickness. That would be mean. That would be mean. All right, so tomorrow we have for you, as I wait, what am I doing? The Dodgers and the Braves from Atlanta. And I think the Dodgers are going to clinch sometime over the course of the weekend, and that will be the game. The third game. We'll try to get the Dodgers clincher. Philadelphia's crawled within 5 of Montreal, so that's actually a race, so we'll focus on some of that. They must play again. I don't think they're done yet. And, of course, the American League divisional races are pretty tight. California 5 over Kansas City and Chicago, and Baltimore and Milwaukee and Detroit are all within 2 games of each other. Friday night, we'll feature some football for you. From Clinton's childhood, the Los Angeles Chargers and Houston Oilers, Jack Kemp and George Blanda. And in real life, what would be a preview of the first AFL championship game. And so that's what we got going on for you. And, of course, on Sunday, speaking of Patreon, the first game of that 70s tournament final from Baltimore. It'll be the 79 Pirates, Staple the Vicar, against the 70 Baltimore Orioles. And we won't be using a DH in that because Baltimore didn't use a DH for that. So, I guess, questions? Something you'd like to see in the channel? I'll just close with this. Anything you want to see on the channel that you haven't seen before? How about you shut up? That's not very nice. We'll kind of go on that. I'll take a drink and let's see. Sports Time Machine's also doing some home run derby, too. That was kind of cool. Clinton did a game the other night. I believe from his 65 NP3 replay, which you can read all about over at Skeetersoft. NP3 is an underrated gem, too. That it? Okay. Well, if you're watching this later and want to leave some questions for the next time, please do. If you're interested in the Patreon thing, you go to patreon.com/Retro Sports Network, but never, ever, ever feel compelled to give. It's nice that people do. I certainly appreciate it. Those who give something every month or give the one-time thing, it's awesome, and it does mean a lot. But we're never going to put YouTube commercials on the channel, and such. And so, okay, guys. Well, I thank you so much. Hit that like button and subscribe. And if I get bored or do something else, we will do this again. So you got the schedule for the weekend at some point. The football game I was supposed to do today with Dave for his game-winning drive ball. It was going to be Monday, I think, Monday night. So watch out for that. I'm Ron Juckett for Retro Sports Network. Thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight. Always great to have you along, and we'll talk to you the next time. So 2 videos tomorrow, baseball at noon, and the Patreon project probably tomorrow night, unless there is a Game 3. Until then, we'll talk to you the next time.